believe the planets can actually shape how markets move? If that intrigues you, make sure you watch this video to find out how planetary movements can make you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Continue watching that video. Welcome to our Modern Wealth podcast, where we aim to empower, enrich, and evolve your lives. Every week, we have absolutely amazing guests who will interview, who can transform our lives physically, financially, mentally, spiritually. And today, we have a very, very special guest. He's a very dear friend of mine. His name is Max. And Max, you might have seen him online, featured all over, media. And he is a very, very, very special guy. His mastery, right, is in this topic called time trading. And many of you guys might not even be aware of what time trading is. And honestly speaking, it is out of this world, right? Quite literally out of this world. So, Max will be sharing with us topics on how you can use time trading to maximize your profits, right? How you can actually use it to actually know of certain global events that will be taking place that can really help you to long or short the markets as well. So he'll be explaining a lot about that too. And most importantly, my friends, he'll be also sharing with you his journey of how he got started on this journey and how he's grown his portfolio to, now have a venture-backed fund, which manages well over 7 figures and his entire amazing journey, right? So without further ado, Max, welcome, brother.
Hello, guys. Well, so good to be here.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for coming down, bro. You have a very, very amazing, very busy schedule. But dude, can you share with us for the people who, maybe they've seen you on YouTube, right? They're very curious. They're like, dude, what is this guy, about? Right? Can you just share with them a little bit about yourself, who you are?
Okay. First of all, there's a very big misconception that people think that I'm an astrological guy.
Okay.
Right? That's a completely wrong. I wouldn't say it's 100% wrong, but
okay.
It's an approach that we felt was better to engage the public, because the moment if you throw things like geometrical dimension analysis, right, or chaos theory analysis, that will throw people off. People cannot connect. So we chose the idea that, even though time trading itself, the idea of time trading is based on 3 elements itself, not one element, but astrological factors makes up one of the elements in our approaches. So, right, that's a summary.
What's the three elements?
So the 3 elements are very simple. Number 1, the time trading consists of 3 components to become a time trader. If you're just focusing on astrology, it'll be called a financial astrologer. So the other 2 components that we actually incorporate are harmonics and dimension analysis.
Wow.
So basically, harmonics is like vibrative states of a certain sequence, right, of how certain market reacts and move, and that can be calculated, and we know exactly when something will happen. Right, so we actually do that kind of live predictions.
Guys, I'm telling you something. I am not playing when I say that Max, he does live predictions of what's going to happen in the future, and they are sibetun, like for real, right? Like he's done it with my audience, and he shared with many of our students, exact dates, timings where they will see ticks in the market, times where markets can possibly crash, and we've seen a very, very, very high win rate with exactly what he's sharing. And again, this is not your ordinary stuff. This is not by looking at indicators or things that you might normally hear of. This is stuff that honestly, like 99.9999% of people would have never heard of, right? Like a lot of things you shared, maybe you might be very unfamiliar as well, harmonics and all these different things. But that's his speciality. That's his X factor, right? Which is very, very unique. So Max, but dude, let's rewind. Let's go all the way back. Right?
Okay.
How did you get started on this journey, and what caused you to want to get down into the financial markets per se?
Okay, so it actually started way back in 2008. So what happened in 2008 was that the Lehman Brothers crisis was there. So back then in 2008, I was somewhere like in between uni or something. I'm not very sure how old I was. I didn't calculate back. Somewhere before uni actually. So probably army or uni after that. What happened was that my dad was all in on the markets, and we saw, and he even sponsored me and my brother this program called. It was in International Plaza, I recall. So he sponsored this program. He paid everything up. I think it's for 5,000 or something for 3 days candlestick program. Then what happened next was that the Lehman Brothers came, it crashed out, and my dad lost about $1.6 million overnight.
Wow.
And he was
What
like,
was he invested in? Singapore markets?
I know, I'm not very sure at the point because what happened was that we instantly the house, we got the debt, right? Was then because of the debt problem, he was against me trading actually. He's like, you know what, don't do this, I lost this thing and that. Yeah, he's trying to stop me all the way from doing this idea. Then, but it was a bit passive for me because I wasn't as active, but I was also busy losing money back in 2008 onwards for trading. Eventually, I ventured into a data analytical line. So I set up the company, it's called Max Koh last time, somewhere around 2014 or something like that. So it was a consult. I had this rare opportunity where my ex-girlfriend was actually somehow was working for this company called Lick. So she kind of introduced me in, and they needed someone to manage their data collections. So because of that thing, that event itself, I launched a data research firm, right? So we started doing research on things like schools, mainly on schools like international schools like Dulwich, Canadian International, Stanford American. So we are focused on that, but we even ventured to funny places like research on funeral services. Like, would you like to buy your grave now rather than wait down the road, right? And things like even medical products and stuff like that. So we did research on this for about 7 years, right? I still get requests even from time to time right now. So that was where I stepped into the data analytical lines. Then eventually I had the opportunity to move to Australia for a while. So I did grab the opportunity to do my studies there. But here's the thing. After graduation, after messing my visa, after not doing research properly, right, I was forced back here. And that was the day, and that period, I lost everything. So not only was I really losing money all the time in the stock market prior to 2017, what happened was that I was put in debt, right? And
How so?
first of all, I lost money. I lost money trading, and coming out of university, even though the data thing was like, oh, there's opportunities, it comes, and because it doesn't come, we had to do other things. I thought F&B was a route for me. So what happened was that I actually went to things like MasterChef, or you guys probably know that thing, right? It's quite
So
funny.
he was a finalist on MasterChef, right? This was back when, which year?
Oh, so long ago. I think it was 2017 or 2018. I
2017,
don't
right?
know.
So if you go and research MasterChef, you'll probably
The
see
first version of Singapore one.
The first Master
So I always thought that F&B was my route, my calling. I always thought I didn't know about natastry or astrology or synastry back then. I couldn't check. I didn't know that people are actually born. When you're born, your path has been written. It's not a fixed path. It's just like more like a team, right? Like I can't be I can't be a firefighter. I can't be a policeman. I can't do any of those things. I don't have the supporting team, right? Because I'm earthbound. We call it the earthbound in the astrological cycle. A very earth strong, and why I can do coaching and this and that is because there's something called migration in Venus in 7 and 8. So that is something that if you ever do natastry, synastry natal is like NATAL, you can actually see that on the charts.
Wow.
So that's things that I don't have the information back then. I don't know the knowledge. I don't even know those things exist, and I think astrology is full of bullshit back then.
Hey, sorry, if I can interrupt you, bro. Actually, this is very, very important. This is super important. I think this is one of Max's greatest things that he actually shared in my community, right? Because, I don't know how many of you can relate, right? But some people spend decades of their life being lost in a career that they feel completely unfulfilled in. And they're wondering, like, what is my purpose, right? What's my purpose in life? What am I supposed to be doing? How come I'm trading but I'm always losing money, for example? But sometimes it always points down to what you are maybe meant for. All right, like for me personally, for myself, right, I found out very early on what I'm meant for, right? I didn't know my charts or whatever not, but I knew what I was meant for, right? But some people live many years of their life not knowing this, and having the information is very powerful, bro. Dude, it can save you years, it can make you millions of dollars, or help you lose millions of dollars if you're doing the wrong thing, right? So super important, bro. Crazy. Okay, continue.
Okay, so basically what happened was that I didn't have the knowledge. F&B, I went, at one point there's this Irving craze about this fish skin thingy. I went as far as supplying that to the shops or tried, and only to realize that I got cheated by Indonesia trawler because they had like 20 trawlers coming in, but their fish are like dirty and all the skin and it's like dark color. And we didn't know when we tried to supply to Irving, they said, oh, we had to drag all these things. So these are cases where it caused financial losses. Did the F&B at one point as well, also a complete flop. And that's where I knew I hated F&B. I hated the cook. I realized that in my life, it's more of like the show, right? But you ask me to repeat something 1,000 times over like food, cook this dish 1,000 times, I go mad. But I know, you know what I mean? So it's more like that was the angle from where I was actually coming from. So what happened was that I chanced upon one of the trainers. So basically, when you are out there seeking a solution, sharing that markets is one of the ways to make your to be financially free. Yeah. I was in a dilemma. I knew that I tried since 2008, constantly failed, couldn't do anything, and I went for programs after programs. It's natural you want to improve yourself, right? So it's like you came back, you lost, and throughout this loss process where I was even doing in search of the F&B at all. I was actually a Grab driver and Uber driver for 6 years. 6 years of Grab and Ubering. So what happened was that 2017, no one is mentioned, but one particular trainer stood out among all. So this guy came on stage, one of the events, and said, look, the markets can be timed. There's something called time trading. It fascinated me, right? And back then, I just met my girlfriend under a bridge, right? Under a walkway bridge. And both of us actually went for it. By the way, that woman now is now my wife.
Nice.
Right? So what happened was that we signed up for this program hoping for the person who promised us that they will teach time trading. Turned out it was a process of constant upselling. And in the end of the day, there was an excuse to say, oh, you're going to do this with me, you're going to wait until 5 years later. And that was very unethical. So the whole process of time trading started when me going in was I first heard about this thing. I knew there's some work behind it, and that there are definitely some methods that are not available elsewhere. They won't even publish this online. You cannot find this online. So these are institutional strategies that they don't speak about. So what happened was that there was a conflict, right? You know, when they sign for programs, they harden in committees. They want you to be in the committee itself. So I was a curious student. I was very curious all the time. I actually made friends in program, and what happened was that I started telling people, hey, I embarked on a journey. I came across this idea that the moon cycle has influenced the markets. So what happened was that this particular trainer will issue trades, right? He called it high energy or something like that, some kind of trades. And then you might know who, right? And what happened was that I was working on this data on how he did it, and I kind of guessed it. I'm not very sure, but I know the moon was part of the factors. So I came across an article by the RBS team research, Royal Bank of Scotland, one of the research articles. You can actually find it online, right? I think it's a 13-page document talking about nodes and something about moons and how it affects the influence of markets. So being the curious me and being the all out, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to find out what this time training is. I know it exists, but where did I find it? So I went all out, and eventually I started giving out 1 or 2 dates to friends. I say, hey guys, I think that this day something might happen. And true enough, as I mentioned about this, it turns out that the other trainer itself gave the same date. I'm like, this is interesting. And the best part of it, the trade worked. Now there's attention already. Like, oh, someone's called Max in this committee, this group has made this thing. Of course, I didn't stop there. I tried again, but I didn't really engage directly to the group. But what happened one day was that, what really pissed me off and what started the main fire, the whole drive on decoding these entire markets was that I was approached by this trainer one day. And what this person did was that he actually published not just my personal information, but my wife's personal information, shaming us on the committee, in front of probably thousands of people, threatening and doing, we call it the Q scare village by killing one monkey kind of stuff. And and he actually shot me down. He said, we're going to sue you. Because you are planning to set up calls or things like that. I'm like, at that point, I had no intention of selling calls and no intention of going into this. I'm not even sure if trading was right for me, even though I embarked on this journey, because F&B was still circling around me, right? I thought F&B was still the answer, might be an answer. But the funniest thing is that my wife, back then was a girlfriend, was not even involved in trading anymore. She actually kind of quit already by the time. And how could it be a trainer where you're supposed to coach or also bring the people up, but instead you chose to shoot them down, right? And the worst part, you brought an innocent party in, a family member. Now, if you're one-on-one with me like that, fine. It's not so bad, like, okay, fine, there might be some competition down the road. But the moment you decide to even threaten a family member, that was the day you signed the death note. Right? So it was that very day that the fire lit up for me. I say, I have to crack this thing no matter what, whatever it takes. So so when we first cracked it, first breakthrough was that we found there was something called dimension harmonic cycle analysis. And we found that there are repeat patterns throughout the markets that can be easily timed. And when these events happen, we kind of knew that could be uptrend trade. So of course, I was naturally removed from that particular group, right? Obviously, because after all the things came out in politics, and I thought I made it in 2019. So what happened was that this is a real story, also quite personal, right? Was that 2019, I landed myself in a role as a junior prop trader. Because, so prop trading is basically you are the trader of the fund, you trade. So I literally had to do what I call backdoor steal, referral, around. So when you are doing anything to survive and you're in debt, I came across this guy whose nickname is called Dust. It's called Dust, DUST. We call it Dust. So I met in one of those events. And I was telling him that, hey, because you're doing anything to survive, there were some policies of the government saying, oh, we can actually help people process a certain documentation and they pay us money for doing all the legwork for all the documents. So I was introduced to this trading company somewhere by the I forgot what's the name really. I think it's called Fortis or something. And when I walked in, I saw the entire setup. I'm like, I'm in a trading firm. Right? It got me excited because there are traders there, this and that. And here I am trying to, sell a service to try to help them process some paperwork. Plus anything to survive. It was like $500 or something. And I did, and they really got the funding. And eventually they moved on. Something happened, not exactly sure, because I was still grabbing around, right? Still grabbing around, still hoping to make a breakthrough, looking around. Not aimlessly, but kind of like, just anything that can make money, just make money. Just in that, but right, and he goes, if you make it, just grab it. So what happened was that I met this guy, my earliest mentor, his name's called Mike Lee. He was working he was part of the company. So someone made him click and I moved to International Plaza and I got a call from them. I told him, look, I have some research on time trading that I'd like to share and I think that the fund can really benefit from it. Right? But here's the thing. Little did I know that when I was appointed as a prop trader, right, it's kind of like a bit of fund management prop trading, the entire company was not even licensed. It was more like a support company. So, and the main activity of the company was to actually, from what I understand, do the front end as like a actual trading, but at the back end they're more like laundering money from Hong Kong. So I had some money in my name, 200,000 at that point, managing with 200,000, right? So it was not a big sum, but 200,000 right now it doesn't look too big, but back then it was like a massive sum to us. Just under my name itself is 200,000, and it includes my own cash. Making money from there, and the returns are not bad at first for like 6-8 months, and I was still under training. So I was like, oh my god, I thought I made it really, isn't it? One day, the entire company got raided by the police, and of course the acquisition was that there's cheating cases going on. That was the acquisition. The case was still pending, and my boss, right, who went to bail, right, who came out bail, committed suicide after that. So I was technically jobless again, technically thrown. And not only that, but because these things exist, you do not know what's called die. Because you don't know about regulations, or you don't know about things like why there's regulation in place or what you're doing could implicate you. I was fortunate enough to be let off, given my position that I was a junior trader. I was not in the management team, but the management team got some of them got prosecuted and some of them were questioned by CAD. So I was let off because I was considered a small fry, and that position itself, given the position, I was a so-called trainee. They cannot charge me or they can't do anything because I was not attached in technically, right? And I was just under training, even for 1 over year. Right? I was still managing some stuff in there, so I was let off without a record. I was actually very lucky because I missed that thing by a hair, but it also taught me very big lessons. Not only about the coaching part of taking care, never cheat anybody. There are scams out there, there are things out there so dangerous, and you don't even know they get sucked into one, or you could be implicated as one. Right, that's before they started enforcing all the laundry scams and that you see nowadays, right? So that was prior to that incident, right? I literally dodged another bullet, and I was out again. One of my investors came in to send me to a Malaysian team for a while. It was a short while only. I didn't really like them, but I worked for that team. But eventually, I approached some of my brokers, like Finsa and all. I started forming a relationship with them, and then that's where my whole brokerage show started. So it was prior to that period that I said, you know what, this time trading things I can actually, maybe I can coach, and some of the research, it funds and research as well, because we needed funds and research. We needed softwares, we need institutional softwares, we need this and that. This thing costs money. And having lost the job, having lost everything again, right, I thought I was going to make that. I thought I was making a decent sum maybe by then, but I thought I was going to make that. And I was like, oh my goodness. So eventually in the process, I met my Kwan, my New York Kwan, right? One of those programs out there. So we're still learning, it's trying to learn from other trainers, right? Never stop learning. So I met my Kwan. Eventually, I gave him some codes on what my research is, and I told him what to do. And he actually secretly went to New York for a while because he was working as a Kwan beforehand. And he did approach mentors that are highly regarded in this industry. Things like Larry Placento, Jenkins, George Boyers. These guys, you won't know them until I tell you right now, because they are in the forefront in time trading itself. So there's an entire field dedicated to time trading. So I didn't know much about it as well, right? Apart from GAN. Mostly we hear about GAN, this and GAN that, the GAN here. So what happened was that the research, I took it from there. Eventually, I transborn Optima. I formed a working contract with them, and we launched the program through, and that's where they supply the institutional technologies to me, which I had the rights to supply them in Asia.
If you can give us a brief, bro, maybe you can summarize it really well, right?
Yes.
So what is this research about? Like, how do you, what exactly is time trading? How would you summarize it best? Like, how can people use it to profit for themselves, for example?
So what happened is that with the time trading components, you are no longer lagging in the markets. Right? You are no longer lagging behind, because many of you guys were approached like algos or something like that. And algorithms, there's only two kind of principles. There's either a rebound trading, which is range trading, or there's a breakout trading. But the systems from the institutions are designed to trick the retailers to actually go in some direction. And sometimes the breakouts are real, some are fake, but you won't know. So what happens is that they overlay this data with harmonic dimensions, where you cannot see this with naked eye. You have to literally plot the entire diagrams on the entire sequence in the markets. And you soon realize that the market takes no sides. Right? Whether the market goes up or down, it doesn't matter. Because we've been programmed by schools, education, say, oh, when things go up, means the market is doing well, the country is doing well, it's going down, it's bad. But in reality is that when it comes to dimension space, the up and down is the same. No one really cares whether the market does well or does badly. But what we really care is about the factoring of time. So time trading itself, right, whether it's the astrological nature or dimension nature of things, was triggered and tells you in advance which day the institutions will come together to screw the markets. And we have placed these trades live. We have made this course live. For the last 4 years, we actually have a public track record. Right, and we actually do everything live. I mean, people can always easily accuse you, say, you got one trade right, your course, you're lucky. Two, you're right. Three, you're right, you're lucky. But what if you got consistent results for 4 years? What if you can showcase in front of thousands of people? Right now it's about 4,000. Consistent results. And everything is tracked. Everything has its time step. Now that is no longer luck. It means that something exists and you must approach it.
Actually, Max, can you share with us maybe on a bigger scale, dude, like how this is so tuned? Maybe if you can share with them with regards to maybe even in 2020 when the COVID drop happened, what was the incident, right, astrologically that happened, or even for FTX, for example, right, the entire drop, it actually coincided. How is so tuned? Some big macro events.
So the FTX event was triggered by eclipse. If you look at the day where FTX collapsed, it was actually an eclipse.
It was a blood moon, right?
Yeah, something around. I remember it was an eclipse. I forgot is it a blood moon or not. But prior to that, there were symptoms already, right? So if you align the data properly, right, it's actually an eclipse day. Usually eclipses are meant for start and new or something. But that's a more astrological term, right? How we started was more dimension and harmonic basis, right? So astrology was a supporting factor. What happened was that astrology came in much later for us in around 2021 because when we overlay the dimension, I mentioned that past repeats, right, or cycles repeats. What happened was there were blips that we couldn't explain back then. We say, that's probably the nature force of the markets or this and that, the nature force of the markets. We couldn't explain why the blips appear. Why is there that day? Until I was brought by a friend called Edwin to an astrological program, one of them called the bigger one in Singapore, and it was disclosed all these things. Somewhere around 2021. That was my awakening, that I have to incorporate astrology in. I knew that there was some say about the moon, but I wasn't serious about it. Because I was lucky, astrology really, that kind of stuff. Because back then, even though I knew the moon was some impact, but I always thought the moon. But there are so many other planets out there. There are dwarf planets in the solar system that people don't talk about.
What planets?
There are dwarf planets in the solar system that people don't talk about.
Okay.
Right, such as the asteroid like Fortuna asteroids, right, or even Zeus asteroids. So there's actually more than 9,000 objects out there that's documented that they don't incorporate about. Most people know about Jupiter, Venus, Moon, the Sun, right, Mars, right, Jupiter, Neptune. Those are the usual. There's even another stream of astrology called Uranian astrology, right, where you look into things like Cupon, things, of course, Amethyst. So this itself has symbols. So my job as I would say not like a quant work right now, is to find these correlations with markets. So when we backtest data like this and we try to find the data, we're looking at whatever can trigger or cause a certain effect.
Wow.
And we back this data with historical data. I can literally take an event in 1980s. I can use that to predict an event in World War II, and I can use that to predict the event right now. Wow. And even in the future.
That's crazy. Dude, honestly speaking, this might be completely new to you, right? Completely new. You might be hearing Zeus asteroid. Bro, what the hell is this? Right? Like, you might be very, very skeptical. You might be thinking that, dude, I see, speaking out his ass. Like, obviously you will receive, for yourself, a ton of skepticism, right? People are like, you face this on a daily basis, right? Is this real? Is this fake? What are you talking about, right? Like, how do you explain this in a simple way such that you can overcome the skepticism?
Number one, as of this year, we are officially backed by a CMS license.
Okay.
Which means that the company backing us is actually listed on MES website.
Okay.
We are actually a recognized institution. That's definitely, which means that's a very big hurdle, a very big reputation boost for us, right? So you can literally check out the company is backing us.
Great.
Right? They are 9-figure company, 9 figures. Right? So we are part of that whole package of being a venture back. That's number one. Number two is that many traders like to charge a certain signal price, isn't that? We chose to do it the other way because we know that skepticism is very high. We actually make all this data free, which means that you're welcome to join us in our public channel. We even wrote a book for you how to do it and how to follow us. And from there, you just look at what we say. We will always pin messages, and you will notice that we always have a start date and even an end date every time we publish the data, right? And especially to actually also mock the other trader, the guy called HE. So we came out with something called BMM, which we call it it's either big money manipulation or big market manipulation. Right? It's basically riding on the human emotions of the world and how they plan to execute it or to screw the markets up.
Very, very nice. So guys, make sure you follow Max on his Telegram. Make sure you get his book and everything just to know how you can actually get started on his entire journey. And again, guys, very, very important. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more amazing content like this. And again, if you have any questions for Max, make sure you comment down below. Just ask any questions you want, and Max will be able to answer your questions as well. All right. Now let's get right back to it. So Max, one of the reasons why I found you very intriguing, bro, was because I was always kind of searching for what's the difference that makes a difference, right? People always talk about, you must have an edge, right? But do you really have an edge if you're looking at what everybody else is looking at, right? If you're looking at support lines, resistance lines, for example, the whole damn world is looking at the same thing, right? It's all lagging information, for example, right? So that's why I found a lot of your stuff to be very, very interesting and very intriguing, because it seemed to be, the difference that makes the difference. So can you talk to us a little bit more about lagging indicators and how yours is more forward-looking? What's the difference?
Okay, so very simple. Lagging indicators forms after a series of I don't want to sound too technical, but after a series of numbers calculations, it forms what we call a signal, cross signal, so-called potential move, right? It's a moving average or even a MACD, and these things are intentionally manipulated. So it gives the retailers a false sense of security. In order to keep you addicted, they have to make sure that you win on a certain percentage. Like, Fibonacci hits, it reverses. It's true that if Fibonacci hits, it reverses. Or they drag the thing, they say, they make you unsure, up, down, up, down, up, down. Right? and sometimes it fails, or sometimes they hunt you. They know that you're there. So you can literally see the emotions of the market. In my prediction, you can actually see where the retailers are. We can actually see what institutions are waiting. Right? So when we pick trades, we don't trade every day. We actually pick and hunt the trades. And this thing is not available for the retailers because they don't even know when something's going to come. So as a retailer, you are always reacting. And sometimes when you react, the market run. Let's say you see a surge and they blame it on the news. The CPI data came out and market rallied. But how is it possible that we knew that rally is going to happen prior to that? We can actually announce the date 1 year beforehand. And it happens on the very day. There's a joke among companies say that I think the big ones are following us instead. The news are all following us, right? And why is your news happening on my day? If we don't look at fundamentals, fundamental to me is pure bullshit, right? We knew that the entire system is very rigged from the beginning because there's always a gatekeeper. So think about this. You know that when you place a trade, it goes to broker. The broker must counteract it with a liquid provider. They either absorb it and fight against you, or they send it to a liquid provider. A liquid provider can also have multiple layers, right? You have your clearing houses, you have your prime brokers, you have institutions. So these guys are actually the gatekeeper. So if you hedge it, or they hedge, let's say you're a broker and counter hedge, you have a lopsided balance. Most of the clients are buying, some of them are selling. And you have this set of buying and you're not sure what's going to happen. What a broker does, because I work in broker firm now, right, is that we actually send these trades off. So it gets compounded by other bigger players, market makers, and that. And these market makers are going to look at the data. We have X amount of people buying and X amount of people selling. So if you think about it through a lens of a casino right now, in order for you to make money, what do you always choose? You always choose the side with the least amount of people because you make the difference. So you can have the best technicals in the world and all, but if everyone just buys in the idea and if something is too obvious, everyone goes in, it often gets either hunted or reversed. And this is where majority of the retail trading strategies fails. Because there are real incidences where you're supposed to work and there are incidences where it's supposed to be a fake move. So it's up to the gatekeepers whether they want to put through the orders for you into the markets or not, and that really affects. Your $1 trade is not going to do anything to markets. Even 1 million can't even move the needle in the markets. It can't move. Because it's up to them to decide what goes up and what goes down. And then here's the sad part, you got no control over it. They decide.
Very, very interesting.
So if they want to screw you up, they just create a fixed signal. Yep.
So, anyways, dude, very very interesting, man. And I really believe that a lot of what you say is very very true, right? Again, when I look at the markets on a daily basis, you see so many moves, right? Where you can see, market manipulation, big boys actually taking advantage, right? So, it's a very very interesting game, right? Which always is fascinating. So, Max, talking about forecasting, talking about being able to actually see what's going to happen, right? We are heading into 2024 really, really soon,
Uh-huh.
right? So maybe on a more macro level, what do you see happening in 2024? Is it something
From a market point of view or for world events?
from a market point of view?
Market point of view, please take note of these dates. This is not financial advice, not legal financial advice. My license says that I'm allowed to so-called give financial advice
Sure.
to AIs, but not
Yes.
retailers.
Yep.
Right. So I just is pure educational.
Sure.
There could be something happening on the 24th January. There could be something.
Okay.
Right, with the event there. There is a date somewhere in September that I'm spotting now. There could be a small incident in April. Right. The ruling incidence of this is actually done by Pluto. So Pluto is the last planet right now to be going towards what air era. Right, we are actually transforming into pure air. Right, I can talk about this if you want me to talk about it. About not just from the markets, but from a human race point of view. Like what's going to happen to the human race?
Sure.
Right, I mean, I can speak about it if you want me.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Let's go.
Right. You sure?
Yeah, let's go.
It's okay. So, for those of you who are very skeptical about the whole idea of astrology, right? The Sunday newspaper astrology is complete bullshit. And astrology itself is a very personal thing, right? The real astrology is very personal. It's not going to be like, in the past we open a newspaper and sections astrology. Geminis are supposed to mean someone new. That is too vague. Right? It's not personal at all. What happens in real astrology is this: the day you're born, the location you're born, everything, the place, the exposure, you have this snapshot as to where all the events are in terms of planets. We call it a natal chart. And when you take the relation, like let's say you met your wife or met someone else, or whether I can click with you or not, that even the markets, right? Some markets also, they call it the natural vibration of markets. Whether I can click with you, whether we work out as friends or not, it's called this route called synastry. So synastry is basically relationship of people. Right? And the synastry can be also about based on transits, progressive transit. I'm not trying to use jargon, but these are actual words that I will highly recommend you guys to actually go and search it out online. Right? What is synastry? What is the transit factors? What's the conjunction? What's the retrograde? What is the sextile? What's the squaring? Right? So you can actually search it out. And to help you cut short the elements, the timing, right? The Western astrology system uses 4 elements. And these 4 elements they're regarded as fire, air, earth, water. But here's the thing. If you look at history, right, in somewhere around the 1760s, prior to that, it was actually pure fire. What do we have happening? Fire represents arts. These arts don't really last, or they're more digitalized. They don't have things like Michelangelo standing there or something like that, right? the kind of arts pieces. Why? Because the era don't support it. Right, those are in a fire era where exploration, humans are going around, right? Britain's going around conquering countries and that. It's jokes saying that what are the best known for? Creating Independence Day around the world, right? So that is outcome of the 1760s. And eventually there's a transition shift happening in 1760s to the 1840s. And in 1840s is what we call the Industrial Revolutions. There's the first time what we call a transition from fire to earth. And this cycle has repeated in the past as well. If you look back way in ancient history, right, this cycle always repeats. You're no different from a Bitcoin situation, a mining, compared to someone who's having a gold rush in the 1800s. Because there's earth. And who makes the most money back then? Not the people who are mining for gold. The people who sell the pickaxe, the thing. Yeah. And what's the modern day context for that? NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, yes.
So you notice something about human life, they don't change. The theme or elements might support it. What is fire, what's earth, what's this and that? You might be asking a question now. Right? Some of you guys who are watching will be like, wow, what's all these things about? So we can go into many sections, right? And I'm trying to piece together. But I want to observe the interesting thing about what happens in 2020. In 2020, it's the first time humanity officially enters into the air era.
The air era.
But prior to that, there was an incident, what we call the early teaser, 1980. What do we have that revolutionized the world in 1980? Apart from the fact that AIDS was classified, right, because of a Satanian move, restriction, right? What actually happens in terms of human progression? One of the most important things that enabled me to connect with you right now, one of the most important,
Internet.
the internet.
Oh wow.
If you look at creative, for example, creative started around 1981 or 1980, is born as what we call an air company, a tech company. Companies that are meant to do something in their own elements will succeed. That's why Singapore holds the reputation of being the producer of the sound card. Creative was the inventor. It happened not in the Earth era, it happened in the air era. But in order to force people to do, and there's a lot of people going online, and you know the birth of the internet, and people are more and more people online, everyone's focused on the innovation part and not so much on making money. But something interesting happened after that, when PayPal, all these things started coming in. From 2000 onwards, everybody just wanted money and services, right? Money services, everything subscribe, money services. And there's a whole hoo-ha about suddenly the interest rate go down to 1%, isn't it? And it caused an environmental crisis, the property crisis. Why? Because Earth, as what it sounds, is from the ground. It's what it holds. Properties are Earth, right? Mining is Earth. Money is Earth, technically. Then what happened? Somewhere in 2017, somewhere in the 2010 onwards, the Bitcoin transformation started happening in the background, but it only exploded prior to 2020. What happened in 2020 onwards? How do we know that this is the cycles? The answer is very simple. It is called the Great Conjunction. So basically, every 20 years or so, how the English astrologers will mark the events and the leading elements with the horoscope is that every 20 years or so, Saturn and Jupiter will be aligned together in the sky in one of the houses. And this is how we determine what rules. But here's the thing. For the next 160 years, we are pure air. And we are only at the cusp of it right now. We are part of the transformation cycle. The idea that inflation is going through the roof and this and that will not sustain. It will force humanity to adopt something else eventually. And the idea of people holding properties, if you look at Europe right now, is that people are literally losing money on properties. Well, how is it happening? Why did COVID come? Look at the nature of COVID. Look at the way how we create energy. Back then, what is it that how we create energy? We drill for oil. We extract natural gas. Everything from the ground. Why? Earth era. Even the way we create energy is also being influenced by these elements. And what do we have now? Because of so-called global warming, we are forced to go into renewable. And there's air. Air is what? Renewable. Things that you can take from the sun. Sunlight. Those are air. Even disease. I'm making a very bold statement here. The disease, the next pandemics, just 2-3 days ago, China again had so-called another respiratory, right? Some article came out, right, from the doing this. And WHO was asking again, right? Why? Because the disease, the way we spread, is also ruled by elements. Air. Which means that we won't see things like diarrhea disease base. The pandemics will not happen. That's why SARS came in the 2010 periods, 2013, right? Why did it disappear? Because it came in the wrong era. So when COVID came as a force to change humanity, understanding it's not just trading alone. It transformed everything altogether, right? The way we live, everything. What happens? Businesses go bust. Our businesses go bust. What's us? Business is traditional business. Open a shop there, you sell food. COVID comes, nobody can do anything. Then you have what we call a mixed element business. Your delivery comes say, oh, you know what? Let me send this order for you. That's air. That's transformation. And let me put this order in the website. So that I cook here, we can get someone come there and send the person. You survive. What happens to those who don't adapt? Finish.
Yeah.
People lose their jobs overnight. The whole idea of having a stable income is Earth. Why people go to factory and work? Why people squeeze together? In the air society is different. We suspect that people will be moving away from cities. If you look back in history, when people move towards cities, what do they want? Security. Why people move from farmlands and stuff? They are looking at, I have better security there. Instead of farming here, I make 1 ton of food. I can work factory and make 10 tons of food. Cheaper, better, faster. It's all about efficiency. That's the Earth mindset. But when it comes to now, people want customization. People don't want standardization. People want people want the idea that they can live far away. They have a drone send over my food. And why people want to stay in cities? Wi-Fi, internet. But what if all this is soft? The ultranet projects, right? What if I can go to the mountain and see the internet? Do I need to be around people? No, I'd rather be somewhere else. Right? So these are what we call the transition phase. We are in a very major one right now. That's what crypto came about, because crypto is more like air. Because money is technically physical. Technically, there's cash. That's why people say cashless society. It's air. You see the difference now. So the teams may not change. The activities may not 100% change. But what rules it changes. We can go more detailed into even the kind of exposure, like Aquarius. Aquarius about fairness. Why did Wall Street bad movement came after the thing happened? People are fighting the big boys. They say, oh, we got to take GME down. If you look at GME, the saga yesterday, right? GameSpot saga, AMC, right? You see that there's this big bar before it crashes, right?
Correct.
What does it tell you? It just says this thing. The real markets are fluctuating all the time. But the big boys always control them down. That's why we know that they took control. And that's why I say, to me, it's a Ponzi. Markets are Ponzi. To me, markets are rigged. And knowing how to play the game is the most powerful thing. Because why? You know how to rig it, how they rig it. And this is how
I play the game, man.
This is what we do. So basically, my job is to understand, not just from a market point of view, where we study the rigging, we also apply to living. What's going to happen to Earth? Or what happens to humanity? That's why I even made a very bold prediction. Because of Satan came in the picture, I think this year. And what did I do? Do we have any kind of funny events happen in June? What happened? SIA lost a wheel or something like that. So not as a Scoot lost a wheel. Suddenly you had the transport minister having some issues. Right? And a few other things, right? Suddenly the infrastructure starts breaking down. Why? If you go into my channel, you go to scroll up to there, I even mentioned we're going to see some chaos and troubles with transportation. How the hell do I know this? Because we started looking at world prediction events. And we can even told a date when the cycle will end. I gave a start and an end. Basically, I was just reading off my data from my astrological tools you have.
So again, we are in this era of air, right? Next year, so let's talk about 2024 again one more time, right? So let's go a little bit deeper. So you mentioned some dates in January, maybe it's something April and September, you mentioned?
Yeah, I forgot exactly which day, but it's somewhere around September.
Right. But in terms of world events, right now we're in this war, right? There's all this stuff that's going on. You know, we just came out of Russia, Ukraine, not actually, it's still going on, and then recently Israel, Palestine, and all that. What do you see happening? Is there more chaos?
The Russians were using astrology against the US.
Yes.
If you go and Google this term, you go and online search Pluto return USA, you see that it finishes on 22nd February. The Ukraine war started officially online 24th February. They knew. They're using the technologies as well. They knew. There is a reason why, even though US is involved, you're not seeing US troops in Russia right now. That's the reason why. Because of Pluto return effect. They're being suppressed astrologically.
So what's going to happen in 2024, bro? What do you see? Is there more peace?
No.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to see a lot more censorship happening. Indonesia. Okay, what is a worrying trend for us is that we spotted 3 countries that we can see some social issues could happen. Number one is US. We think that religious fanaticism is going to go through the roof. This is also happening in India and in Indonesia. This from a pure astrological point. We're going to think that there will be policies or politics made through such movements, such radical movements. You know, even as about freedom of expression, but there's also what called polarity effect. So you're going to see a lot more fight back because of this. A lot of policies designed because of religious reason rather than practical reasons. Like US can't even agree on abortions. I'm like, that's crazy. Like sometimes you need medical facilities like that, but somehow it prevents people die. So this is messed up in one sense. So we're seeing increased censorship happening in especially in Indonesia. So Indonesia is primed to see more censorship happening. They actually did something crazy recently. They blocked. I went in Bali recently. Even you at the time.
Yes.
And what happened was that my broker access that is licensed even with MES is blocked. I'm like, I can't even access that. I need to use a VPN. I'm like, that is a licensed entity by the Singapore government, and yet, I mean, not government, the MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore.
But you can't.
But I can't access. It's like they went all out, right? And we're going to see a lot more extreme ideas forming. That's the polarity side. But of course, you'll see a lot more unique ideas. Like one example I remember very a trend is the guy who was paid to sleep and people disturb him. That's the idea of air. What about a trend of esports gamers now? In the past, your parents would say, you know what, stop playing games, you're not going to help your future, and you're going to end up bad or something like that, you're going to end up broke. But now people are being paid to touch challenges, millions of dollars.
Max, can I ask you a question? So we're coming back to the markets, right? So maybe people might not be really very much aware, but what is your asset classes that you focus on, or when you're trading, for example, what are you generally looking at? I know you look at a spectrum of things, but what is your general focus?
We specialize in indices because
Indices.
especially US 30 and US 500. The reason is because prior to me cracking the markets, back in 2017 with that trainer, he was a specialist in that. So I had to take on with him on the same class. But our system can actually work on any markets because it's the same system they use to manipulate. So I'm known to crack any market in 10 minutes. I can crack any market in 10 minutes, including cryptos.
Very, very nice. So again, a lot of what Max refers to is trading indices. If you do follow him on your channel and stuff, you'll see a lot of indications on indices and everything, right? But okay, cool. Let's talk about crypto, right? Since a lot of our followers are also crypto followers as well, right? So there's a lot of momentum going to crypto currently right now. A lot of good news. Recently there was a very, very big news in regards to CZ stepping down, $4 billion fine and everything as well, right? So what do you see happening with regards to crypto maybe in the next 12 months or so?
Okay. This may not sound good,
Yeah.
or may not sound like. That's the reason why we pull back a lot from crypto is because the current idea of crypto is earth-based. The idea of crypto, right, the main elements in air is about a means of exchange of movement, agility. But if you treat your cryptos as an investment, you're back to earth. And I can say that the solution is not even found at this stage. The solution will only appear somewhere in late 2024 or 2025 onwards. Pluto event must happen first before that solution comes about. So right now, if you ask me, I have no idea. I don't even know what's going to happen. But I can say that the current infrastructure, the current ways to do things are set to change. The change if you're talking about historical, can be 80 years, can be 60 years. If you look at the events of 1760, the first time we had Earth, versus the actual industrial revolution, 1840 after the steam engine, then that could be a transit point. I may or may not be even around to witness a full change right, by then. But we know that was so-called the kickstart factor. Right? Nature can be a bit slow. Right? If you compare to millions of years of evolution, nature is slow. Right? After all, we're only here for 100, 80 years, 60? We won't know. So, but we are in a very unique position because we are in a position where we are looking at this transformation happening right now in front of us.
Very nice. Guys, I want to share something which is very, very important, right? So to me, whenever I interact with my friends, whenever I talk to people who have obviously achieved significant success, one of the questions I ask them, which I ask myself is this: is there something that he knows that I don't know? Right? I think this is a very, very important question to ask, right? And of course, I think if you've been watching this video, there's a lot of things that most likely Max knows that you might not know, right? So I think it's very, very important to always have an open mind and to keep learning, right? Because we do not know what we don't know, right? So Max, if you can just quickly just share, right? What are some of the ways in which they can get started, right? Like maybe they're like, Rash, I'm intrigued, I really want to find out more. What's the first few steps somebody can take to embark on this time trading journey?
If you really, really want to embark on trading, we actually summarize a lot of stuff through our person training.
Okay.
Our approach is very unique because we want you to make money first before you come to us.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that's why I give things for free. We wrote free books, and we have people who make everything back before they even pay us a single cent, which is amazing because we started this not because we want to sell courses. There's no intention to sell courses. Remember, I started this because I need to take down somebody. And eventually it led me into the fund management and all that stuff, right? The license management, getting us licensed and all. Right? That was a so-called a path. So what started as a horror became a movement. Right? So when we started, it's not, I'm here to market cost to you. It's not that. Heck, I'm even giving for free. There's a lot of data. Right? So if you want to get started, very simple. Our next batch will be in March only. We only do it we only do it 3 times a year. Right? So because we have our other works to do, our other fund management to do, so we can only take in a certain batch when I'm more available during certain seasons. So number one is that you're going to head over to timetradermax.com. That's one of the main website. You can register there. You will see the latest registration date. It may not be updated, but when you click on it, it will give you a Telegram link. But of course, we can also put a Telegram link here. Once you're in that Telegram link, right, you are part of the committee. The committee is open. It's an open two-way communication. So most committee, they try to govern it, right? Because we're an air, we have so-called fairness, we also have transparency, openness. So in that committee, you have access to the PDFs. I'm about to release the next updated version, where you can actually read out how to actually follow what I do. What's the principles, how they follow, it's all stated there. And you can look at all the pin messages. And if you'd like to verify my results, you can also scroll to the top and let the historical data load. Right? You can scroll back about 3-4 years of data. Right? You can question me any trades or anything I post. Because we document everything live. Right? Everything's live.
Very nice.
So that's one of the ways to start. So you can come through us, right? You can come through us and start this way. That's one of the best ways to start.
Okay.
And of course, we can take off from there.
Awesome, fantastic. I have maybe one last thing to ask you, right, to wrap up this entire thing, which is very, very simple, bro, right? For somebody who has tried, right, trading, like you, right, and has tried and has failed and has tried and has failed, and he's like, I don't think I can make it, right? You tried for nearly close to 10 years and you failed, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the what will you tell them to keep going, or what's the mindset they need to adopt, or what do they need to find out to know, like, hey, is it really possible? You know what I'm trying to say, right? So what will you tell them?
Okay. Because of the things I do, because of the information I have now, I would suggest that you seek out a professional who can actually give you a rundown of life. Right? I mean, in our team we have someone who does that. It's not me. I won't do it. But we have to have someone who can actually give you a team. Like when I found out about me not being able to do F&B, it could have saved me years of pursuit. I even went to chef school, or I worked as a chef at one point. In Australia, I worked as a chef, and all these things would have not been wasted. I wouldn't have ventured in. Right? So I mean, of course, I can tell you the traditional things, say, keep trying and eventually find something, right? But I'll just tell you, sometimes it's better to understand who you are.
Very nice.
What I want to do. And you get from a professional point. Then you find a team. You're not helping to do one thing. There's a team. If you're meant to help somebody, you can help them in other ways. Right? You can help them in training, coaching, education. You can help them even a nurse as a form of medical
point of view, yes.
Doesn't matter.
Fantastic. So I think that was a beautiful answer, right? Know who you are, right? I think the discovery is always about the internal discovery of what you are meant to do in this world, right? Like, a fish is not meant to climb a tree.
Yeah, you can't judge a fish or its ability to climb a tree.
Exactly, you cannot, right? And if you say a fish is stupid because it can't climb a tree, then dude, it's meant to be in the water, right? So I think that's a very, very beautiful piece of advice, man. Thank you so much for sharing. After years and years and years of failure, trying to make money in the markets but losing, right? And then you finally decoded time trading after you attended the thing and all that stuff. Like, at what point do you realize that, shit, I really found something that actually works? Like, what were some stories that happened to you personally that really transformed your life and your own community?
Okay, so what happened was that how we knew that we were on the right track was that we were building a company from scratch. With people who were coming to us, and that what's very unique about us is that they're actually professionals seeking our advice. Right, we've been paid by institutions to come down and have a chat with them. We see. I recently just trained some from Citadel, recently, and we have guys from banks coming to us all the time. People from oil and gas sectors. So our community is very different because the institutions are watching us. Right, in the community itself, I know there's about at least 10 firms, 10 institutions watching me at any point in time. They were actually looking at my signals at any point in time. My bosses are watching. So I knew that there was something right about it, and I cannot afford to mess up. We are actually very careful how we do about it. So take for example, like in June last year, I was traveling in Sydney. I was actually visiting my local office in Sydney, Philip Government Building, right? It's under FINSA. What happened was that prior to the trip, I told the group that, guys, there's going to be a big one. Around 14, I said it's going to be a big one. and prepare on the 21st. You all go in because I already knew it was going to happen. I already told the cycles, 2 cycles, 14 to I think 21st or 22nd, then after 22nd to 28. So prior to that, I was actually in the vineyard. I was actually sitting in the vineyard, and in the morning I'm like, hey, what's the market's check? The singer's there already, and the next thing you know, I sent a video out. I say, guys, it's time to take profit and all. And immediately after that, we got a lot of thank you messages coming in. That's one of them. Then there's another very big event. This was done by Mercury, right? So I knew that the Mercury was coming in. This was somewhere around 2021 December. I came online. I said, on January 20, I think you remember 20 something, last year, it's gonna be big. Something so big happened, and we knew it's gonna happen. We actually document this in our public webinars. So what happened is that it really came, and the entire channel was flooded with people posting their results. I think we easily made on that day for everyone on the channel more than $200,000.
Wow.
And these are all given free. We actually say follow this thing, do this thing, and you should get the money. But of course, please do a risk management because we don't guarantee results, but our probabilities are extremely high. So these are some of the give back we do, and we do this almost every week. I have students who message me, say, I actually asked another person before I joined you, how much they made, and they easily 3x in 3 months, just by following what I say. So the craziest part is that people sign up for a program using profits that they follow from me. I don't even need to train them, and they really make money. And they come because they want to know, and we don't hold back on sharing information.
Thank you very much, Max, for sharing so much of valuable stuff. Again, so many gems he actually shares for completely free. So make sure you follow him. Max, what are your socials that they can actually follow?
Okay, so first of all, the main way to reach to us is our Telegram channel.
Yep.
Basically, we mainly operate from Telegram only. So you can head on to our website like timetradermax.com.
Timetradermax.com, fantastic.
Where you can actually register for so-called upcoming events, webinars. We are not doing anything anytime soon. The next one is somewhere in March 2024.
Great.
Right, so there'll probably be some early sessions in around February or January next year.
So guys, I highly recommend it. Have a look. Expand your mind. You do not know what you don't know, right? So check him out. If you've enjoyed the video, if you've enjoyed this interview so far with Max, make sure you like it. Thank you so much for following us. Make sure you like and subscribe to our page on Modern Wealth Podcast. Max, thank you so much for
Thanks for having me here, guys.
I really, really enjoyed. And again, guys, make sure you follow Max on all his socials. Thank you very much. Till next time.